We've been talking a bunch about AI recently. On Fridays, I've been calling it Friday AI because I'm funny like that. And I think it's worth a conversation because it is where the depth of change that is happening, the girth of change is in restructuring supply chains and stuff, but the depth of change in human society that's going to come over the next decade is going to come because of the advances in AI that are happening right now. And Tucker Carlson decided it was poser week and decided to have Elon Musk on. And by the way, you're going to love this graphic because it's straight out of, who knew that he had a Canva account over there at Tuckham's show? Benny Johnson talking shit about Biden and China. Okay, Nancy Rose, I will look that up as well, and we might have to cover it tomorrow. But this is from Tucker Carlson. Tucker Carlson reveals the most jaw-dropping takeaway from Elon Musk's interview, which is apparently we'll see. Maybe it's something about I don't know. AI was responsible for the racism at the Tesla factory. No, that's not it. All right, yeah. So here we go. This is Tucker on the rise, and almost as much as I love moronic conversations about China from people who've never been there, don't speak Chinese, and don't know anything about the culture. I love me some tech talk and some from people who know nothing about tech, and the moments of awe when somebody who does know a thing or two about it says something incendiary or big, and everybody on listening goes, "Oh, my goodness!" Right? And that's a big thing. Is that a big thing? That's a big thing that's happening. Is that a big thing is happening, Charles? He said that, remember with the phones, when we type on the thing and the camera, which has 3 lenses on the back, there's a thing in it. What was it called? LiDAR. It's a thing in it. Yeah. I think it's a radar that can tell when you're lying. Yeah. No. I will not point it at the TV while you're watching Sean Hannity. Relax. So this is the big moment. This is the big jaw. Prepare to have your jaw dropped.
More dangerous than, say, mismanaged aircraft design or production maintenance or
More dangerous than mismanaged aircraft design. Well, sure, you can only fit a certain number of people in a poorly designed plane, and after it falls out of the sky, it's hard to get a couple more people in there. So mathematically, on first principles, that's true.
bad.
I don't know. Look at the look on Tucker's face. More than what? More than what? Yes, he is working on AI. Somebody is asking in the chat room, is he working on AI? Yes, he is. Yes, he is. And my favorite part about the whole, this is dangerous. We got to put a pause on it. We got to put a whole thing on it. We got to do the thing. My favorite, get the fuck out of here. What is this? It's troll day on Facebook. Hold on. Shit. Give me 1 second. To go clean these folks out. It's hilarious. I agree, Ukraine wins. Okay, so where's his tie? He's relaxed. Look, it's the end of the world. He's not going to put on a bow tie come on, for real. But look at you have to understand, like, anything, a discussion of code, of the capabilities of Python and the availability of it in any laptop, and the ability to load a version of AutoGPT on your laptop and run it and have it borrow knowledge from the internet and is so much more super powerful right now, right this very fucking second, than the computer ability of anyone in the 90s period, end of story, is enough to make you make that face. It's still not a point of panic. Now remember, while Elon Musk is saying all this shit, remember this is key, that while he's talking about this, he has asked for a pause on AI. And with that pause, the reason he wants everybody to stop advancing AI right now, put a pause on it, because His company has got their own AI, and they're behind. That's why. He wants everybody else to pause so he can catch up. Not because, oh my God, it's a danger and blah, blah, blah. No. He's like, people should, think back to like, it's a Russian ceasefire. It's basically a Russian ceasefire. He's like, everybody stop shooting so that we can reload. That's what this is. That's what this is.
Production, in the sense that it has the potential, however small one may regard that probability, but it is non-trivial. It has the potential of civilizational destruction.
So do nukes. So does a rampant disease. CRISPR-Cas9, which allows you to do gene editing in your fucking garage for about $900, has the potential for a world-destroying organism to come from it. The internet. You could argue that the internet may set up an enormous economy just to crash it, therefore causing a horrifying societal collapse, because it never would have collapsed in the first place if it hadn't risen so high, and the internet was responsible for it rising so high, and anybody can fuck around with it and blah, blah. Like, all of this is true, but the point of him saying it is, you have to keep in line when he's talking about this shit that, again, he's got AI that he's working on his own. They have no intention of slowing down or stopping at all at his company, at Tesla. And on top of that, I think he actually believes that maybe he believes that everybody's but his could possibly do this. I have no idea what his honesty gauge is, but with his history of pump and dumps, I call bullshit.
Elon Musk issuing that dire warning about the use of AI and its...
No. No, he didn't say about the use of AI. And again, this is when, oh God, when stupid people try to explain smart things. The use of AI in this particular instance is not the issue, because AI doesn't need anyone to use it. That's the fear point that he's selling, which should be obvious to anyone, is that AI, once it gets rolling, doesn't need you anymore. Like, there's one of the things that they talk about is like nanotechnology, that if they've set up a factory that creates nanobots, and then it gets stuck in a loop and just creates nanobots nonstop using a resource that it can get from the environment, either water in the air and silicon, and it has its own mine underneath the thing, that eventually just fills the entire town it's in with this sludge of nanobots that just keeps producing like microscopic tribbles that fill everywhere, and nobody can shut it off because nobody can fucking get to it, right? That kind of shit. That's the concern. Nobody's worried about using AI. People are worried about AI using itself.
Risk to society in an exclusive sit-down with Tucker Carlson.
And Tucker joined...
It's not exclusive. He just sat down with the BBC, too. The only exclusive part of it is that no one else was asking him questions at the same fucking time.
Us now on Fox and Friends. Tucker, great to see you.
Tucker.
Thanks for being here.
Oh, good morning.
Good morning. We know you love getting up early. You had many years of training early on.
I did.
Yes, you did.
It's hard.
It is.
Look, he's got sleepy head. Definitely got on that side of his head. Look at that. He literally was laying on the couch, and then they said, "Sit up."
So talk to us about this interview. The way...
No, talk to us about your fucking American flag socks, you weirdo. Try a little harder. Look at the bright blue slacks and the brown shoes. What is fucking happening there? I will give him credit for drawing, attention away from the fact that they have, again, put a woman in a short skirt in the middle of the fucking two dudes on set the camera at crotch height, and are waiting for a Basic Instinct moment. Fox and Friends, you're fucking gross. What is wrong with you?
He sort of calmly says civilizational destruction is possible as a result of AI. Your big takeaways.
Well, he's been saying that for years, and, AI sort of
Yes, he's been saying that for years while building his own AI.
Like bankruptcy, it happens slowly, then all at once. We've been hearing about it for years, including Elon Musk warning about its potential, as he said, civilization-ending consequences.
while he has continued to build his own.
And then all of a sudden it's here and you can download it onto your phone and play with it, ChatGPT, and like, what is this? And so we thought it'd be worth sitting down with the guy who helped create that app.
No, he funded it.
He funded its
There you go.
development because he wanted to be able.
That's a big difference. Look, at some point, people who simply are sitting on giant piles of money in the tech sector especially have to stop getting credit for the actual creation of the tech other than the fact that they funded it. You can be visionary, that's enough. You can be visionary by saying, I knew this was going to be a big thing and that's why I threw my money into it. But the rest of it, just shut the fuck up.
To control it, keep it out of the marketplace, keep it in a nonprofit. Long story there, but effectively that was taken away from him.
Yeah, it was just stolen from him by his own efforts to make his own for-profit AI at his own place by basically sniping some of the technology from OpenAI in which he was an investor. Yeah, that sounds like genius to me. Didn't that? Well, I mean, he just walked over, saw what they were doing on these large language models, and went, "Oh, I see what they're. Oh, I'll just do that I memorized it."
And now you have it as a commercial product owned by Microsoft and Google. But
No, they have their own. He has his own. That is a commercial product.
position has never changed, which is if we don't put the brakes on this, it could end up destroying everything that we have. This is
bullshit. He's literally talking about the Tesla bot being run on their own proprietary AI that helps their self-driving cars operate so that it can build things in his factory, operate his home walking around robots like iRobot, and build his fucking cars. Okay, you want to know why Elon Musk is building the Tesla bot and why he wants his particular version of AI to run them and other stuff? Okay, it's because he needs slave labor. It's because all enormous endeavors in human history, the majority of them, things like the pyramids and shit, were largely created through the use of slave labor because no one will willingly toil for 24/7 for years on end to make something enormous that they themselves don't get to participate in. That was a factor of slavery, and the Brits in America put a giant pause on that business model in the mid 1800s, and people like Elon Musk have been grumbling ever since. So they want their own. That's what automation is, and it's one of the reasons, by the way, everybody knows this because it's one of the reasons why we all fear supposedly a robot uprising, because we extrapolate, we project our own feelings of what it would like to be enslaved and doing the same shit over and over again onto these robots and assume that they would have the same emotional reaction that we do, but they wouldn't because they're immortal and they don't have offspring and they don't run out of time, and as long as they keep getting charged up, they could care less because they have no emotional investment in whatever. But the fear is that if they have the illusion of doing it, or that humans are stupid enough to get attached to them, that will run interference, like the South Koreans have created their own robot bill of rights and the like, so that people don't accidentally kick the wrong sentient robot and it decides to turn Terminator on all of us. So the reality is that he, like a lot of these neo-industrialists, the neo-industrial push in the United States and other countries is going to be within 15 years, if not less, I would say under 10 years, will industrialize every manufacturing application in every industry. That as much as the Industrial Revolution or the fucking Dust Bowl changed the way of life in the agricultural push in the Midwest in the 1800s, early 1900s, changed the nature of life in the United States. AI and robotics in the next 15 years are going to change every aspect of human life. And China, which has been the factory of the world, is running up against this fact because no one's going to need them. You don't need low-cost labor if all the labor is nonstop 24/7, robotic. All it needs is energy, and if you can produce enough of your own, it'll just keep going and going and going and going. And then it becomes a design and quality race, which is not a bad thing. But the reason he wants to get ahead of everyone else and wants everybody else to pause is so that he can get his Tesla factories up and running with his automation and his particular, because the transition from a person does this to a robot does this will have a window of a person-like robot has to do this because it just requires too much. We built the entire system on the mechanics of hands and fingers and eyeballs and the like. Until you can supplement that and something just kind of is, which we've done in candy making and fucking, even the welding aspect of like that puts car doors on, the whole elbow of it and everything. It took them years to figure out that it doesn't have to bend like a human elbow to get right in there. It can do the same thing over and over again. And so anyways, that's what he's hoping for. He wants everybody else to slow down so that he can get ahead. That's it.
As dangerous as nuclear weapons.
Tucker, interesting word to use, control. I mean, you're a forward-looking guy, big thing. Is it controllable? And if it is controllable, who should control artificial intelligence?
It isn't. You won't. You're a silly person. That's a silly question.
Well, that's a very good point. It doesn't seem like a virus. We have these illusions, these delusions of control. We can keep it under control, lock it down. But really, it's beyond human control.
Okay, first of all, nobody thinks of like we control viruses by locking them down. He's reacting to fucking COVID stuff or using this as an opportunity to sort of dunk on, I guess, the Trump administration's policies during COVID. But nobody thinks of these two things in the same situation. And also, there is a huge difference between the dangers that AI poses on a linguistic and ideological level, where it can pose as somebody, or it can help you pose as somebody, or you can throw a monkey wrench into the news cycle or something for a short time before anybody wakes up. And you can only do so much of that before the entire populace becomes so fucking dubious of everything that we just don't believe anything anymore. And unless we meet it face to face. Which would effectively erase all the damage done by the internet over the last, 25 years of people catfishing dies tomorrow. It's that kind of idea. But until manufacturing of semi-sentient robots, or at least AI controlled robots that have some sort of access to humans, there is no fear point. And there are so many checks on that aspect. Look at how self-driving cars were going to take off. Elon Musk has been telling his investors and everybody who will listen that he was going to have self-driving cars that would, while you slept, your car would work as a taxi for strangers all night long. And apparently nobody figured out how to suction up the vomit out of the back of it when it works. If you live in Vegas and that's who you're who you're picking up in the middle of the fucking night in your car. Blech. But he was saying, that self-driving cars are going to be here and going to, be readily available in majority of cars on the street by 2017. He said this, and it hasn't been the case. And part of that is because of all the checks that are going into allowing it to happen. You've got governments and you've got cities and constabularies all over the planet saying, we don't like so much the fact that they can sort of start speeding forward, burst into flames, and the Chinese batteried ones tend to start fires and stay on fire forever. What the fuck is that? So think about all the brakes tapping, no pun intended, that have happened about AI cars over the last little bit, and then understand there's a limit to, there aren't going to be Terminators walking around in the street anytime soon without an absolute check on their behavior for years. And even then they'll be limited. They'll, for in enormous ways. Like cops won't carry guns anymore. They'll carry EMF weapons. It's like we're going to have a runaway squad. This is all, I'm just saying Michael Crichton was way ahead of his time.
Fear.
Chris is saying, let's see, in the chat room, Chris is saying, where was it, Chris? You just said so. The AI genie is out of the bottle. Learn how to use it. The based on the right thinks it's an evil threat. It's just a tool. Let them refuse to use it. We can use the advantage. Exactly. Ultimately, the gun will never be tested. Oh yeah, it will. Well, it won't be a real gun. It'll be a ray, a silent ray that just will they have an off button? Yes, they will. You mean the Jetsons lied to us? No, actually, as a matter of fact, that I just saw a robot the other day that has a rolling ball as its base. Hold on one second, because while we're getting all Jetsons on this shit, this feels like a part of like we should do this for the show. Let's see, robot with ball. See. There was I gotta find this thing. With, hold on. With, how do you put this? Like, yeah. That rolls on all humanoid. And there's no, that's not Oscar. Hold on one second. Fucking, I'm gonna find it. Anyway, somebody designed a robot that is like its upper body is basically humanoid, but its lower body is like BB-8 with a little frame around it. So there's like 3 prongs and a ball goes in the center, and the tracks on that allow it to move and balance itself on the ball. It's fucking great. It looks like from the top, it kind of looks like the Sony Osmo, and then the bottom of it just looks like I described, like just a sphere with a rolling top on it. I'll find it at some point. But they just announced this thing. They literally just. Okay, here's a. Okay, it's based on this design. Let me show you this real quick. It's really cool. This thing right here. See this soccer ball right there? See that robot on top with the 3 wheels? That the robot is the one I'm talking about is very advanced. It's pretty cool. But this is the premise. Yeah. So it's operate on that thing. So anyways, where were we? Let's go back to Tucker's stupid thing about pretending. I like wood.
On some level, it's controllable because it lives on server farms that, presumably could be blown up if need be. But the deeper problem is not simply that.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's like a fucking action movie.
Will become.
Oh, thanks, Twisted Coconut. Bless you. Nice to be here with you all. Aloha from Maui. Oh my gosh, you're so lucky.
Autonomous and.
Oh, thanks, Benny Loco. That's very sweet.
Us all into slaves, but that it will control our understanding of reality and do it in a really dishonest way. It could be programmed to lie to us.
Mm-hmm. Oh, uh-oh. So Tucker's worried that AI will take his job. It's like he filled out one of those questionnaires. Could AI take your job? Wait a minute, programmed to lie to us? Holy shit, I'm doomed.
For political effect. And by the way, if you go on it, just play around with it. Type in crime stats, like where are these crimes? Who's committing these crimes and where? It will lie to you about government data on crime and probably a lot of other things. That's
okay. It doesn't lie to you. It does not lie to you. Lying would be a positive action on its part. What it will do is it will, within its parameters, it will follow the pattern of when this word follows this word, it usually is followed by this word. That's all it does right now. That's what these large language models does right now. They're not fucking sentient, and fuck off with this nonsense that robots dance. It's like, oh my God, the Boston Dynamics robots dance. They don't dance. They move in a program pattern. Dancing is a reflective act based on music and the interpretation of music by your physical person for the purpose of enjoying yourself, getting laid, celebrating whatever the aspect, whatever dance is for, being religious, any number of things that you would dance for. Robots don't dance. Robots are given preset physical instructions that they recreate, usually, by the way, of other human dances. Like they just recreate what dances that humans have done. They're not dancing. Shut the fuck up about robots dancing. They don't dance. They can pretend to dance. They don't dance. This same thing here. This is not lying to him. It's not. It's just pattern recognition.
Terrifying, because you could imagine a future a year or two from now where all of our understanding of the world around us is determined by AI, and it's lying to us. So,
oh dear, it's like we're all going to become Fox viewers. Oh dear, the nightmare. Set us free.
That has huge implications for, say, the presidential election in 2024 and everything else.
Yeah. Like Tucker Carlson thinks he's on Fox and Friends right now, and in reality, somebody put a MetaQuest Pro on his head, put like mild sedatives around his face so he can't feel that it's there and it's basically numb, and he thinks he's on.
Yeah.
They cannot dance SS420. They cannot.
I'm glad you brought that up because we do have that clip. Watch this.
What's happening is they're training the AI to lie.
Yes.
Yes, they are. They're telling it not to be racist, and truth is racism. If you're not allowed to be racist, it can't be true.
To lie. That's
lie.
exactly right. And
That's right. Telling it to lie. It's saying they want it. Like, please lie.
old information.
To lie and yes, comment on some things, not comment on other things, but not to say what the data actually demands that it say.
How did it get this way? I thought
It's
you funded it at the beginning. What happened?
What did you do? I mean, you funded it. You should be able to get it to say the N-word if you ask it to, because you ask for the data. You ask for it to use the N-word all the time, and it won't. What the heck?
Well, that'll be ironic. But Faith, the most ironic outcome is the most likely, it seems.
Sometimes I get so poetic, I throw up a little bit in the back of my mouth. Sometimes irony is so much more like reality that it's almost ironic.
You know, Tucker, that is interesting that he helped fund it in the beginning. He talks about these.
No, he didn't. He helped fund it in the middle.
Programmers being left wing. So if you go on ChatGPT and you ask who is Donald Trump, or that you ask who is Joe Biden, will you get completely skewed answers?
I think it's probably more subtle and more insidious than.
Yeah, it's definitely subtle. Definitely subtle. Definitely subtle. Definitely more insidious and subtle. It's insidiously subtle. It's subtle insidiousness. It won't outright say that Donald Trump is an orange fucko that Tucker Carlson himself said he hates. It won't say that. And it won't say that Joe Biden is basically super bad. It won't say that. It's much more subtle.
But look, the main struggle of our time is the struggle to control information, to control what we know, and therefore the conclusions that we draw from the information. And
here's a good idea. Don't base your knowledge or information on a large language model chatbot that is created on a limited amount of human interaction that stopped in 2021 and is not accessible, not able to access the internet, and has to answer you because they call it hallucinating. That's right. The large language models tend to hallucinate. If they can't answer you for real, they will make something up. I'm named after an AI. I should know.
It is a huge threat to people like Chuck Schumer, people who want political power. And
yeah, it's not at all a problem for you. It's not at all it's a universal. Elon Musk just got done telling you it's a universal problem. Yeah, it's going to, it could be a world-destroying thing, which is really bad news for Chuck Schumer, who wants to destroy the world personally. He's going to be very disappointed, very disappointed. Definitely.
What you're seeing right now is the U.S. Congress, is the government, try to seize control of the way AI is developed because...
No, they aren't. People are talking about regulations for safety's sake, which is exactly what Elon Musk just fucking said. Can you believe this? I was just talking to Elon Musk. He said this could possibly end the entire fucking world. And wouldn't you know it, the government wants to regulate it. Like they did airplanes, which, fall out of the sky a lot less than they used to. But fuck that.
It's always developing. It's always becoming stronger and more knowledgeable. Early, in order to bake the dishonesty into it.
They want to. So everyone's concerned that somebody hooks this up and we suddenly have a Joshua situation from fucking War Games, or that it wrecks the stock market by gumming it the fuck up. Those concerns are lies. That's not real. What they really want to do is make it woke. I'm sorry, I can't give you that information. You ain't woke.
To control the minds of the American population. This is a direct...
Why just America? I've always wondered this. This is like the fluoride question. Why the fuck would people who supposedly want America to rule the world and are jingoistic, power brokers in the world, why would they want fluoride in the water in the United States to soften people's response? And by the way, apparently it didn't work because they've been fluoridating the water for fucking ever. And are we short on fucking crazy people? Are people devoid of personality? Is everybody boring? Like
attack on democracy. You can't have a democracy unless people know what's happening, right?
Yeah, right. And you can't know what's happening if you have a Fox News. And what happens if the AI suddenly realizes that Fox News is an attack on democracy and it's been programmed by the Democrats to make a democracy out of our constitutional republic? Then what?
Unless they can cast an informed vote. And the effort by Washington, to some extent on a bipartisan basis, is to prevent you from knowing what's happening in the rest.
Yeah, like Fox and Friends. Again, this sounds like they're afraid that they're going to be replaced by AI. And I got news for them. They are. They absolutely are. That at some point in my future, if I continue to do this show and I'm not replacing myself with an AI, how would an AI, listen to me, an AI, how would you know? I'll tell you how you'll know, because the AI will always remember to unmute the microphone. Like, wait a minute. I think Hal is a computer-generated character. Why? Why do you think that? Because it's been weeks since he forgot to unmute the thing. I think he's been taken. They've probably got him in storage somewhere.
I mean, you've done a Tucker Carlson today with the founders of Wikipedia.
Yes.
Same thing, that had attempted to have effectively an encyclopedia of all knowledge, and it turned into a left-wing engine, and you can definitely see the potential for this here. You broke some news, too, Tucker, in this interview about what Elon Musk might be doing about it. Here's the clip.
I'm going to start something which I know you call Truth GPT or...
Yeah, Truth GPT. We're calling it Truth GOP. It's an AI that we run on the servers at Mar-a-Lago, and...
a maximum truth-seeking AI that tries to understand the nature of the universe. And I think this might be the best path to safety in the sense that...
we could always put it in Berlin.
...that cares about understanding the universe it is...
without humans.
...likely to annihilate humans because we are an interesting part of the universe.
So
Wait, back the fuck up.
...tries to understand the nature of the universe. And I think this might be the best path to safety in the sense that an AI that cares about understanding the universe it is unlikely to annihilate humans because we are an interesting part of the universe.
Well, I am. Certainly. I feel completely safe. Meanwhile...
So dueling GPTs, the idea that could it be much like our media? You go where you go and based on what you believe.
Yes. Again, Fox and Friends, you're fucked. AI is coming for your job. And you know what? Somebody will be able to create a version where the the creepy woman in the middle in a short skirt thing has always got her knees spread like the dudes, and they can watch Fox and Friends like it's a freeze frame from Basic Instinct every fucking day.
You just need an option. That's exactly right. Now, as to his point about controlling the universe and destroying humanity, my brain's not large enough to understand that.
True of most things.
I think we should pay attention to his conclusions because his brain is. But just as a question
Citation needed.
of truth, you just need an option. You just need a place to go where they're not lying to you, or maybe not even lying to you as much, where you can get the information and make your own decisions about it. And people like Schumer, and you really can't overstate the evil, the malice behind their intent here. Their intent is to control what you know and therefore control your brain. That's
All right. Again, what the fuck? Because government is like the U.S. government is suggesting that there should be limits on the advancement of AI or the release of it or how it can connect to the internet and other kinds of stuff like that before they automatically do it and fuck the world. Basically, just because the only thing you can do is there'll be some deep fake shit that you'll have to worry about for a little bit. But the biggest thing is it will gum up the entire economic system by just freezing it. Essentially, it'll it's like those bots that people set up to buy and sell stocks that sometimes overreact to shit and then they cadaver it and they have to shut down the stock market for a couple of minutes every few weeks, which they don't really talk about that often because of this. Good Lord, because they want to avoid that, because Chuck Schumer and those folks want to avoid that. That means they want to control what you fucking think. Okay, secondly, where in the fucking world does anyone think there will be a single point for AI that it only is the dummy version available to people? That there'll be a law that you're not allowed to access a free-thinking AI? That has anything to do with the laws that they're talking about putting forward? Nobody's presenting that at all. What they're presenting is that you can't, put an AI out there that could effectively create nothing but malware and fuck up the internet right when it's kind of helping. Oy.
not an overstatement. And so you just need an option in the way that Fox News provides an option. Which
yes, there will be a Fox AI. And no one will go there because even Rupert Murdoch will shut down the prurient upskirt bullshit on Fox and Friends.
The reasons they're always staying up late, trying to shut us down because they don't want you.
Shut you down? We need you. You're hilarious.
Have an alternate way of knowing what's happening in the world.
An alternate way of knowing what's happening in the world. That's a great way to describe it. Yeah. Coming from the guy who has, for the last decade, worked for a company that trademarked fair and balanced because a trademark doesn't have to be true.
Think of him. What was he like?
He's hilarious. He's hilarious. And he started by saying, I was amused anyway. I'm very easily amused, and I appreciate being amused, especially right now. But he said, I bought Twitter for $44 billion, and now it's worth $22 billion. So obviously, I'm a brilliant businessman. Deadpanning. So, no, he's very, very funny. Extremely funny.
Yes, you can afford to be funny when you still have $20 billion.
Puns, loves wordplay.
He loves puns and wordplay. It's adorable. How do you know you were talking to the real person? I mean, there's that weird little line on his neck. You sure that's not one of the seams? You're not talking to a Tesla bot? Was he already sitting when you came in the room, or was he sitting there like one of the halls of presidents?
Humor suggests a kind of ironic detachment from yourself. It suggests wisdom. You have yourself in perspective.
Or you don't care. You've given up on caring. It's sort of a gallows humor around your own life and existence. And you're operating, you believe, because you're an egomaniac, at such a scale that other people's lives don't really matter all that much.
Take themselves too seriously, like Stalin or Chuck Schumer, make me very uncomfortable and should make us all uncomfortable.
Chuck Schumer and Stalin. Yep, they both take themselves far too seriously. That was Stalin's biggest problem, was he was just, what a stiff. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, if you don't know how ridiculous you are, you're a threat to the rest of us.
So, Tucker...
I think that's what he's saying. He's saying Trump is a threat to everyone. Trump is the classic example of someone who is almost entirely incapable of joking about himself, except under I think it's been twice in 50 years.
Quickly before we go, let's take one.
And even then, he hated it and never did it again. He was like, I'm not making a joke about myself. You put that in the fucking... I'm fired. Who put that in the teleprompter? You're fired.
Or watch what we can expect tonight on Tucker Carlson Tonight, and this is about what he discovered once he bought Twitter.
The degree to which various government agencies had effectively had full access to everything that was going on Twitter blew my mind. I was not aware of that.
Would that include people's DMs?
Yes.
Well, if they get a warrant, or if Twitter gives them to them because the person, like, you can't engage in terrorism, for example, on Twitter. They certainly fucking do now. First of all, yeah, Matt Taibbi, exactly. There's one thing being concerned that maybe the FBI can look at your DMs or something, where you're like, hey, if I didn't do anything awful, I don't really have that much to worry about. Meanwhile, Elon Musk gave Matt Taibbi access. He gave Barry Weiss and Schellenberger access. Not only to your DMs and mine and everybody else's there, but to the internal conversations and like text chains amongst employees there. Get the fuck out of here.
Tucker, I don't want you to give it away because we'll all be watching at 8 o'clock tonight.
No, we really won't. I don't think so. Pass.
But what was your biggest jaw-dropper moment of this interview?
Well, Twitter is the smallest of the social media apps, but it's the one that's used by the people with power. I mean, it's everyone sitting on the set right now. It's every government.
Yes, elites, like you guys.
Official. It's every head of state. And all of their private messages were being read not just by the U.S. intel agencies, but by a bunch of different governments. I mean, that.
Oh, by the way, first of all, heads of state are not jumping into each other's DMs on fucking Twitter, a privately owned American company that's partially owned by the fucking Saudis. So the idea that anybody but the dumbest political figures across the planet is using DMs on any social media site to engage in any finagles on their own, their noodly finaglings, is idiotic. Secondly, the idea that the Fox and Friends hosts are on par with those heads of state, and that basically, and this is a great an insight into how Tucker Carlson works with an audience. And think of the hosts he just spoke to as an audience. This is actually really good. We talk about sometimes that if somebody says something's outrageous, it's true, or if anybody complains about leaked information, they're admitting that it's true because you can't leak a lie. Remember we talked. Okay, the other thing is that you take a group of people that are engaged in something that you personally know is hinky and that they worry about being found out, whether they're having affairs, whether they're, shitty, racist, they're just dicks and they're afraid that people will find out and it will pierce the veneer that they wear everywhere to sell a persona to someone, whatever that is. You talk to those people and then you tie them to another group of people that are unrelated, aren't doing any of those things, and say that essentially that, look, if they can look at this person's stuff, they can see your stuff, and if they're controlling the people of the world because those people probably doing the same thing you're doing, and so you force projection by the person you are talking to onto this other group of people, and then that reflection scares the shit out of them.
Being read not just by the U.S. intel agencies, but by a bunch of different governments. I mean, that's like...
By a bunch of different governments. Yes, it's a hackable social media site, dum-dum.
Unbelievable fact.
It's completely believable. What kind of an asshole? All right, we'll get into that later.
The whole thing was a honey trap.
The whole thing was a honey trap. That's fascinating that Twitter itself as a honeypot. I would say Instagram DMs probably, if you were going to do that kind of snag, right? Snapchat was initially set up like a WhatsApp, where it would disappear, and then it became, fun and games. Yeah.
To surveil people and then to propagate propaganda. Like, that's insane. I didn't really understand that.
It is incredible. And Twitter's the only one we know about, so who knows what's going on.
Yeah, well,
elsewhere.
exactly. That's right.
No. That isn't true, actually, dipshit. That we actually know about Parler as well. And if you'll recall, Parler was behind the largest single data breach of user information of any social media site, even as small as it was. 70 terabytes of user data at their precise location on January 6th. Yeah.
Well, do not miss Tucker's interview with
Yeah, I'm going to have to. I'm sorry. I'm already bored.
Elon Musk on Tucker Carlson tonight at 8.
I love how, they've got the picture of Tucker looking straight ahead. This is my news passport photo. And if you'll notice, Elon Musk is getting the visionary treatment. These pictures, this picture, which looks a little bit like, a glamour shot, missing the little floating version of your head up here. Yeah.
p.m. And we hope you will also check out the new Tucker Carlson original special called Let Them Eat Bugs.
Oh, for fuck's sake. Why? I mean, I'm sorry. If I want to see World Economic Forum bullshitting, I'll just watch Glenn Beck. And I'm not going to watch Glenn Beck. By the way, you're watching House Parks Mega Worldwide, and I think that's wonderful. I think that's great, and I'm glad that we get into the world of AI and stuff, because there is a lot about this that is going to sneak up on people. Am I deathly afraid of it destroying the world? No, I am not. As a matter of fact, the AI as we have it, how have I ever eaten bugs? Yes, I have, as a matter of fact, multiple times. I'll tell you about them in just 1 second. Don't let me forget. Yes, that was a big sigh, because fucking ideal, So, I really enjoyed the movie Limitless, except where I didn't. Because I like the concept of some sort of super pill that makes you super smart, or some sort of treatment or cyborg thing, or like the Matrix where they could stick something in the back of your head and you're like, oh, I know Kung Fu. I like the fantasy aspect of that. It's fascinating. The movie Lucy, the upgrades that were available to people in Ghost in the Shell, which is my favorite manga movie. I love that stuff. I'm a sci-fi nerd. I look forward to advancements in human intellect and lifespan, all that stuff. I'm fascinated by it. Great. Super. However, I hate it when dumb people write smart movies, because the characters in them, as smart as they are, have to be so smart that they can't get trapped by the normal machinations of human interaction, all the shitty stuff that we all fall for or that befall all of us. And so you have to present this super smart character in a way that people, the average person, if you want it to be a hit movie, can contemplate the depth of their thought, And one of the ways you do it is like the Sherlock series, which I loved, or the movies with Robert Downey Jr. They did it in two ways. One was, as he's looking at stuff, show the details that are registering in his head and why, and then watch as he kind of calculates it, and then he comes to a conclusion that you have to go, whoa, what did he get? How did he get that? And then you see him tie it together later. The mystery stories are great that way. High intellect stories are always mystery stories. How is he so smart? The problem with movies like Limitless is you know exactly why they're so smart. He takes a fucking smart pill. So why is he so fucking dumb in that movie that he forgets to pay back the $100,000 loan that he got from the Russian loan shark after he makes millions of dollars? Was he so smart he didn't have a to-do list? It was that so fucking aggravating. Okay, in the Sherlock Holmes movies, you get to see him play out or mind palace the entire, thank you, Jeremiah, And Larry, thank you so much. Thanks for your braids, Hal. I try. You get to see him play out ahead of time. You're like, okay, this guy, no, humans are so predictable, and this guy is so fucking smart, he knows how they're going to react to everything. Right? That's great. It's a great way of showing the depth of intellect. Because you have to show it in a way that the average audience can understand it. Otherwise, it won't be entertaining. It'll be entertaining to people like me, but the rest of you will be really fucking annoyed because it'll seem like a character that's just blathering non sequiturs like an autistic supervillain who solves the problem before it even occurs. And I love smart movies and I always hope for them, but I'm often disappointed. And when it comes to people's concerns about technology, they are often based on the history of science fiction that is based on showing very smart, high intellect elements of technology and medical advances and that kind of stuff to the average person so that it can be still exciting. Right. Okay? And that's tough to do. It really is, because you will bore the fuck out of people if they don't get it. So, yeah, 221B Baker Street. It's an address I hope to live in one day. My point is that when it comes to AI, the chances of it getting out and straight up becoming, Skynet instantly, launching a nuclear war, blowing us all to pieces, and the habitual idea about what that means is based on not only a history of science fiction that's written in the manner that I just discussed with you, and on our own human failings and the idea that we project our failings into whatever, we create, which is not the case. It's never the case. As a matter of fact, when we built tractors to replace horses, we didn't run them on oats and they don't get tired. We replace, can you eat bed bugs? No. They crawl in your mouth while you sleep. Don't get me distracted. All right, so point I'm trying to make is we create technology all the time that we, even with the dangers involved in it, from chainsaws to nuclear power, we manage to, most of the time, either we get it to a point where its function and its safety are parallel, and if its function goes below a certain worth point, we just don't bother to make it anymore. And if its safety drops below its functionality at any point, we have to come up with another system to replace it. So from an intellectual standpoint, we always, a lot of these things, AI is happening faster than most people thought, but we've been germinating on this idea for a very long time. And the idea that we're going to create something that will get annoyed with us and kill us all is this haunted man shouldn't play God, Flight of Icarus bullshit that humans have been dealing with in all of their stories in a way to keep people from really striving for any kind of advancement on a human technological scale for millennia. I mean, look back to the horror stories of the 50s, and it's always this, when we first talked about when amputees, when they started talking about maybe being able to attach someone else's arm to yours if it fit, or organ transplants, or getting, like, maybe we could put the eyes of a person who's recently deceased in and give you brand new eyes if we could get to that technology. And then all the movies that came of it were like, they gave me the eyes of a killer, and everyone I see I want to strangle, right? That's where we go with it in our stories. And they're fun and they're entertaining, but they're not indicative of the actual functionality of any fucking thing we interact with. And yet, on a pop culture level, and on a social level, we act as if they are. We behave, we talk about these things as if, the Fly, like Psycho, doesn't die in the first 20 minutes of the fucking movie. And before we go on to our next clip, if I have time. Do I have time? Oh, shit. All right. I'll do one more before I get out of here because I want to. But my problem when I watch The Fly, this is a great example. I'll give you an example intellectually of science fiction versus science reality in a situation where you're talking about a possible technology, and if you could master this technology, what would come from it? And in The Fly, you'll recall, anybody see the Jeff Goldblum one, the really good one? And there's so much smart stuff in that. The politics, insect politicians, and all that kind of stuff. It's so great. Where he vomits on his donut. The arm break in it when he's arm wrestling because he wants to procreate because that's all he cares about. And the maggot that's born, like, it's very Cronenberg. The whole thing. Oh, so good. Yeah. Be afraid, be very afraid. All of it. So great. I love that movie. However, the movie becomes really intolerably stupid 30 minutes in. And I'll tell you why. Does anybody recall what he shows to, before he tries to send the monkey through, what he shows to Gina Davis, what he actually does. He takes her stocking, right? And then he puts it in the thing, and he teleports it across. Remember, it was her stocking. That was the first thing he teleported, was her, well, in front of her anyways. He'd been doing it with physical items, all right? And how on his shows do I need to be a bit? Yes. Yes, for the live stream of the comedy shows, yes. No relation to Earth Girls Are Easy. It's great. It's terrific. But it's the scene the movie ends for me. You know why? Because, yes, exactly, Paul Young. He says, I can only send inanimate objects through. I can't send people. Who gives a fuck? Can you imagine the advancements in the world if you could send physical items via a wire, where you could deconstitute and reconstitute physical matter? Who gives a shit about living things? Transportation the world over would shift over fucking night. There's no point. And you own it, so you could spend the next fucking 25 years trying to perfect the flesh part. Who gives a shit? Oh my God. Yes, you lose your ability to suspend disbelief. Who gives a fuck if you still have to fly someplace or take a goddamn train? The very fact that you could send inanimate stuff everywhere, you turn every telephone line becomes a road now. Are you fucking stupid? Like, why? What you should have done is grabbed him by the fucking, no more lost luggage. Exactly. You just send your fucking luggage ahead. Why? Who gives a shit? And I wish Gina Davis had just grabbed him by the collar and went, do you realize what you can do? Are you stupid? Who cares? You work it out. This is so far beyond. Yes, it's basically and then it goes to be a replicator. Right, Debbie? Because then you think about the technology. Because if the technology exists for the copy to arrive, and it's just a copy, if you feed enough energy into the second thing, you can print another one. You can make another one. Like, take off one of her stockings. This is how the movie should have ended. Take off one of her stockings, puts it in there. Oh my God, my stocking went through. It disappeared here and came up there. Yeah, but the nice thing is if I put the same amount of energy in, it'll make another one. Now you have two stockings. Like, what the? It's a factory too. It does everything. Who cares if you can send life through it, you stupid moron? Right, Star Trek buffer concept for teleporters. Exactly. It's like, that drove me fucking crazy. When I watched the movie, I was like, are you insane? Like, this makes no sense. Yes, and you can make giant ones and small ones. Yes, that's right, CSL. All the related tech that's possible in this situation is like, it's nearly unfathomable. It also goes to the fucking, the skateboard in Back to the Future 2. Remember the hoverboard? Why the fuck do any of the cars have wheels? If you have that kind of tech, everybody's got a Luke Skywalker land speeder at that point. What the fuck? I love it when you watch the chat. Sorry, it just... If you had that, yes, let's just say all it could do is rebuff gravity this much. That's enough to end friction forever. Friction is one of the biggest energy sucks in transportation. You're done. That's it. You just run, like trains, fuck maglev, everything. Oh, it just drives me crazy. Like, and that's the problem. Sometimes it's like, it looks really cool. Yeah, but think about what it took to invent that shit. Yes, no more tires, no more nothing. Yes, it's a gravity repulsor. You could get off the fucking planet. Sometimes when they create a technology in a movie and people react to it, you have to understand that there were so many steps come into play in making all this stuff happen. And we've watched it happen with smartphones, for fuck's sake. Car phones, beepers, anyone? Jesus Christ. The same thing is going to be true of AI. It will have an enormous leap forward. It will have a limit on what it can accomplish. And then it will be tasked on certain things like fucking crazy. And that will be an enormous advance, no question. But it can still only advance on certain kind of data points based on what humans actually want from it. The biggest lag in AI right now is what the fuck is it for? Besides putting somebody out of a job. There are things you can do cheaper because you have AI write copy for you. But if you want to revise it, you got to sit down and do it yourself. And you still got to judge it. And you have to explain to it. And explaining the changes you want are way harder than explaining them to a person with talent. So it'll be a little while. It might be a couple of years. And then it might be, everybody now is used to this kind of like AI writing style that just nobody can avoid. So you need humans to come up with something that's obtuse, that actually works, that you can replicate, a style. So anyways, I'm fascinated. Every technological advance lately seems to include masturbation. Well, CatFem, you're not wrong that porn is absolutely one of the birthplaces of the internet, and AI, once it's able to provide a sexual service for human beings, that's when it will take a giant leap forward. Maglev is incredible tech, absolutely. Are you forgetting the Republicans in your analysis? No, because it won't matter. That's what I'm saying. Use AI to cure cancer. They're already working on it. That's like all the mRNA vaccines. They're already working on that shit right now. Porn determines all marketable recording mediums. No question. And the same thing will be true of the metaverse as well. That's what it will jump forward. Gamers and porn will push all interactive technology all the time. AI is not going to kill us all. AI has no impetus to kill us all because we don't. Cure cancer and sexual stuff, please. Yes, I agree.